So we're moving forward with a few additional simple commands that you're going to use every day. I'm going to talk a bit about the overview of how you can use them and how you can use the command line in general, and then show you a few of those commands and how you can use them to perform a basic administrative task. The more we will progress in the series, the less we'll be in the PowerPoint and the more we'll be in the command line interface or the other utilities in the Windows operating system. But for now, you can pause this slide if you want to have a reference for later. In terms of how to use the commands or how to get the commands you need, the best place to look is Google. Basically, searching online for the commands based on the function that you want to perform is still the most relevant and the most reliable way of getting things done. So if I would look, for example, to how to reboot the machine using the CLI, and I'll Google it, I'll receive the command or the example commands. And this is a very good practice for everything nowadays. And it's a good way for you to also understand how to run a specific function. But there are other ways that they are leveraging the help system inside the command line, and I'm going to show it to you now. So moving into the OS that we're running as a lab environment, I've opened the command line interface in one of the methods that I've mentioned earlier, and I'm going to run a few commands just to get started. I'm going to use the command ipconfig that I've showed you, and I'm going to use the ipconfig/all. I wanted to run a few commands in order for us to be able to leverage some of the functionality that exists in the command line interface. First of them being the arrow keys. The arrow keys are very important when you run multiple commands in succession. It allows you to use them in order for you to repeat a command. So for example, if I click on the up arrow key, I'm going to see the last command that I've entered. If I'm going to click the up arrow key again, I'm going to see the command that came before that. If I'm going to click on the down key, it will show me the previous command that was the first one, the second one that I've entered. And this is how you can navigate if you ran multiple commands. And comes very handy when you run a very long session with running dozens of commands in the command line interface and you want to go back to a specific command and run it again. A very common practice is to use those arrows. Another way for you to use the arrow keys is the left and right, and you're basically able to navigate this little text box thingy and move it towards where you want to add the input. So for example, if I've written a very long command, I've written a very, very long command and I want to get started and go back and correct things because I forgot a flag or I want to modify. I can use the back key or the front or the forward key to navigate up and down in the command line. Another way to do it is use the home key to go to the first tab and click something at the beginning. And another way is to use the end key and go all the way to the end. So those are the ways where I'm going to navigate in the command line interface and use it. Another thing that is important is that once I have the command here, sometimes I would like to copy it as text. So sometimes if you use specific operating systems, you can hover over this and not clicking Control-C or copy, just right-click it. And by right-clicking it, if I will take a look, what will happen now if I'll paste it, I see I have the text of the command that I've copied from the command line interface. There are some operating systems where this functionality is not native or it doesn't come out of the box, and you might want to do something like right-clicking here and then clicking Edit and then Mark. And this will allow you to mark text and then right-click it to copy it. Those are the very common practices to utilize the command line interface as a beginner. I will show you now a few commands just to get you started. Starting with the question mark. So I did mention earlier in this video that if you were looking for new commands or how to use commands, you can Google it and get the information, and this is the most reliable way. But sometimes this is not available due to a machine being isolated from the network, a network outage, a lot of other reasons, and you want to get the reference locally. Maybe you don't want to open the browser. So another way for you to get the reference is, for example, for ipconfig, is use the question mark. So if I use the ipconfig with a slash and a question mark, I'm going to get the context of help, and I'm going to expand this window so it will be a bit more clear to read. But as you can see, once I run the question mark, I get a usage example, I get all the options and flags, I get a few examples at the bottom showing me commands that I can run with ipconfig. And this is a very simple pre-built tool that has this flag, this help navigation tab, but a lot of other commands have it as well. So be aware of the command. ipconfig slash question mark or slash help. Those are the common flags that you provide to command in order for you to get the full context of help. Another thing that is important in a Windows operating system, often you would like to know what is the version of operating system that you're running on. There are multiple ways to get this information, but the easiest way is to use Winver. And once you use Winver, it will open a window saying this is a Windows 10 machine, this is the build, and this is licensed or not. And this is something that you can run if you're connecting to multiple machines to understand and get more information about the machine. Another command that I can run is the shutdown command. And the shutdown command is a complex command that has multiple flags, as you can see if I click enter. And I can run the command with multiple flags of /i/s/r. I'm just going to cover the basic flags and which are the most common. And they are shutdown/s if I would like to shut down the machine, or shutdown/r if I would like to reboot it. And the most common practice after you put the specify of a /r, for example, for a reboot, is for you to specify the t, which is the parameter of time, and give how much time until the reboot takes place. If I click 0, it means an immediate reboot, and if I have it with S instead of R, it will be an immediate shutdown. But I can also specify a time in seconds. So for example, if I put 1800 seconds, or I'll put 18,000 seconds, it will give me a pop-up message saying that there will be a shutdown for this machine in 300 minutes, which is 18,000 seconds. And this is how you can schedule a reboot, or one of the options you can schedule a reboot. Shutdown is a very practical command. It's run a lot of times when we want to do a shutdown for a remote machine, or you want to save time by clicking the shutdown and shutdown now, and I'm sure, etc. So shutdown is this command that can help us out. A few other commands that gives us host information and things that are very common that you run every day is a command called hostname, which will give you the host that you're currently connected to. And this is a very common command when you're connected to multiple machines remotely and you're not quite sure where you're at, or if you're supporting a customer or extending your network to more and more devices and you would like to get a bearing of where you are. So this command is very helpful. Another command that is very helpful is who am I? And this command will give you the context of the user that is currently logged in and is running this session, this CMD session. And it's very important for you in order for you to troubleshoot user-related issues, like problems for a specific user in terms of permission or access, and also for you to be able to understand who is the user you're currently logged into without doing a logout in order to verify it and such. So who am I? Very useful command. It becomes even more useful when you're working in a domain environment because you're also able to see the domain that you're logging into. Another command that is very helpful is the ipconfig variations. I've shown you the ipconfig variation, but I would like to specify a few ipconfigs that I haven't showed you yet. One of them is ipconfig/renew, and this is a command that you're going to use maybe in conjunction with release. I'll just write them both. And the reason why release and renew is not working is actually two reasons. One of them being the administrator of the access limitation. I need to run the command line interface as an administrator in order for me to run this action. And the second being is that right now my computer is not assigned with the IP using DHCP. So the release command, and I'll show you if I do the ipconfig/all, DHCP is currently not enabled. So this means that if I'm going to try to renew the IP, which means I want to reach out to the DHCP server and ask for a new IP or a new lease for my existing IP, I'm not able to reach anywhere because there's no DHCP enabled. But this is a very common commands for network troubleshooting, basic network troubleshooting and such. And this is another one of the flags that you need to be aware of. Another flag that is common, and you're going to use it often for troubleshooting, is flush DNS. There is a DNS cache that holds the name resolution on the machine, and one of the common practices is to flush it and basically clear the cache in order for you to troubleshoot without having previous information stored in the cache that might interfere with the test. So this is about the basic commands that you should be able to articulate and start with when you do any kind of investigation on the machine, and we'll continue in the next video.